video. We got us some bait. We got us a little fishing spot out here that I really like to fish from the bank. I like fishing from the boat a lot, but today, I don't really feel like doing too much of it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you the rig that I like to use around this kind of structure. You can see what we're standing on here. This sandstone and these big boulders and all of this. A lot of big flatheads and a lot of Appaloosas, a lot of blue cat. Oh, pretty much every fish likes these big boulders, but specifically big flatheads. Now, I'm using 30-pound test, just trilene line here. So what I'm going to show you here is exactly the way that I rig this for fishing around boulders. Okay, all I do, all right, I'm going to save the hook for just a second. Right now, all I do is first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tie my weight down here at the bottom. Right. Yeah, knots are important, but when it comes to a weight, it's really not that important. I just like a roundabout snail knot. It's all good. I use that knot a lot. There. Wet it, cinch it down. Okay. There's your weight, right at the bottom of your line. That's the weight. And you come up here, let out a little bit more line here. And a lot of people like making their own leaders for hooks, different size line, everything. That's fine. For me personally, fishing for these big catfish, I like my line to be line to line. I don't like extra stuff being on there. So what I do is I just take my line out here. Now these big fish are gonna troll about 1.5 to 2 foot off the bottom. As you see here, what I did here, see that big balloon that I just made? What I do is I'm gonna take this, I'm just gonna tie a balloon knot. That's all I'm doing. Okay? Now, there's that. What you wanna do, the way I rig mine here, is you take the end of that balloon knot, just like that, and you go through the eye of the hook. And this is actually a pretty good size hook, but we're looking for some bigger fish today. And you run the hook back through backwards as you go through. Just twist it once, and then twist it again and wrap it around the hook once or twice and cinch it down. Make sure that the line catches every bit of that eye and then runs up to the bottom of it. Now, here's a problem with this kind of rig. When you get a fish, it's just gonna zip this line back down to the main line and your hook's gonna sit right here against your line. So what you gotta do is come down here behind your hook about an inch or so, right? Ooh, ow, hook got me. And tie another loop knot in behind it here. You can see right here. And I'm gonna go about 1 inch, maybe 2. And tie another knot. That way, this leader will still be my leader after the first fish is caught, and I'll still have this much leader left. That's line to line, knot to knot, no extra stuff, no nothing that I don't need, and it'll also stop your hook from getting wound up around your line. See how that just keeps going? Usually it would just spin up around your line and it would hang there, like that, once I stop spinning it, and then it just automatically untoils itself because the resistance is on that second knot, not the first knot. See? So, after that, I'm gonna get us one of these little guys right there. One's this size. Take the tail off of it. Take the head off of it. And I use the tail and the head, but for this specific rig and the specific spot that I'm in and the reason I'm fishing with it, I'm gonna use the body. And a lot of people think you want to worm your bait on there. That's actually a myth. You don't want to do that. You just want to hook it like that right there. One little hook, enough for them to get it in their mouth. And these big circle hooks that I use, man, they're uncomparable. I mean, you just can't compare them to anything else. They turn right into the fish's mouth and it's great. And I'm using a 2-ounce egg sinker like that, and you can look out there, give them a shot right out there on the pillars out there. Close to that is a channel. That channel runs the length of the lake like a safe. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get out there about as far as I can with this 2-ounce egg sinker, let it fly. With this rig, you don't lay your pole flat, because if you do, your bait is going to be flat. What you got to do is you got to find you a 5-gallon bucket or a tree stick, stick it in the ground, rod holder, what have you. I use my bucket like that. The more straight up and down the pole is, the more straight up and down that line's going to be. That weight's going to be at the bottom, and that bait's going to sit there and float right off the top, or right off the surface. Excuse me, right off the surface of the bottom of the lake. Ooh, look at that! Ooh, line of money. So, anyways, that's the rig that I use when I fish around boulders. so y'all can just see that. A lot of people use that same rig when they're drift fishing in boats. It's not really wise to use like a slip rig here with a sliding weight or anything of the kind, because your hook is going to be at the bottom, not the weight, and you're going to get caught up on these rocks every single time. When the weight's at the bottom, it just tends